David, your thoughts on spending?
Sure, and whether the number for your company is 0.5% of sales or 15% of sales, that's one conversation. But another one is to look at the mix of the IT spend, and this is a number that I try to focus on at Summit, is how much of my budget is spent on operations, on keep the lights on, keep that, write a check to the Microsofts of the world for another year or pay that hardware support, and how much of my budget is being spent on innovation, coming up with the next new thing. And so when I try to manage my budget, I try to spend as much of my money that's available on that innovation side, because that's ultimately what's going to move the company forward. Continuing to support my IBM hardware in my data center, I have to do that, obviously, but that's not going to change our competitive stance in the market. That's not going to make us a better distributor. That's just going to let us keep operating. And so focusing on that innovation budget. Now, whether I drive that with my people internally and resources internally, or I go out and I find ideas from customers or from vendors and I bring in third-party consultants to help me make that happen, that effort still has to take place. And then based on that, I have to evaluate what's the benefit of the company. Ultimately, you need to get, whether it's an ROI metric or an IRR metric or whatever flavor you like to measure success of projects against, you've got to have that in place. And then finally, you've got to have some mechanism in place to track the actual value delivery of that project. So I go out and I implement some great new warehouse management solution. When I turn the switch and make that the productive system, that's really the start of the value, not the end of the value. It's very easy for us to focus on, look, I came in under budget, I came in under time, everything's good to go. If it doesn't actually deliver business value, then I wasted my time and money.
Okay, so we talked a little bit about the need for technology. We talked a little bit about the expense, obviously, in terms of technology, but at the end of the day, it's people that have to use it. And so, like it or not, it happens where I am, happens probably where you are too. There's new technology comes along, and there are people who are just apprehensive. They like the old way. So, Vanessa, I'll start with you. How do you introduce new technology? There's that one person, one group of people that do not want to embrace it. How do you get them to understand the importance of continuing to move forward, and how do you get them to embrace it, and more importantly, obviously, use it?
Well, we just basically make them use it. No, just kidding. I do have some people at our company that have been there 25, 30 years. Technology didn't even exist when they started at Bell. That now is infiltrated everywhere we look. To help them with new technology, I basically will walk through it with them step by step. I offer them full support. If they have questions, I answer it 1 time, 10 times, however many times until they understand it. And we also have outsourced our tech team, so we have a full support staff available to them, basically 24/7 if they have any questions on certain new products or IT that we've implemented.
Les?
Well, I think obviously you need to get senior management to buy into whatever you're doing. But I think before that, we started over the last 3 years to try to integrate IT into the business units through liaisons. And last year we formed what we call a North Coast Technology Committee, and we meet quarterly and we talk about what technologies are available, what we're doing, things that we've accomplished in the past 6 months, and things we're planning to do in the next 6 months. And so what we're trying to do, and we have 15 people, so we don't have something in every location, but we have 15 people on the committee, and we see them as being not only our board, our sounding board for technology, but also as our champions. And I think that it's important to make sure that we get ideas from the field. We understand what their needs are, but when we respond with the technology, we need to make sure that we have as many champions in the field as we do, and offer things, documentation, warning, marketing messages, and training.
Go ahead, David.
I just, more of the same. There's going to be technology that you'll implement for any number of reasons that people just have to do. This is the new normal, and you have to help people adjust to that. But frankly, a big part of it is that I had a friend describe it to me one time, is that you've got to create a situation where the fear of not changing is less than the fear of missing out. And so when we introduce, whatever the big new thing is coming out of IT, or frankly from any business unit, it's got to show value above and beyond what the status quo is. Otherwise, why should they adopt it? If I put together, say, look, you're going to start using a CRM system, and it's going to add 15 hours of administrative work to your schedule this week. nobody's going to want that, and I shouldn't be allowed to put that in place. It's got to add value to the business. And frankly, what I've found is that if you put together a solution that does add value, adoption is actually a relatively small challenge at that point.
And so is it a sort of a dig your heels in sort of a management style when it comes to making sure everybody is adopting technology? Or is it more of a learning, making sure that they understand the importance of what the technology is? What seems to work best to make sure that that employee who doesn't want to embrace technology is doing it? What's worked best for you guys?
I'd say all of the above. It really, you'll find yourself putting on all of those hats during the technology sales process. We recently, one of the things we'll talk about here at some point, we just put in a new system for forecasting and planning our inventory. And from a business standpoint, when I talk to our central replenishment guy, the guys that are making the POs every day, it was a very easy sale because I was able to talk to them in terms of, the metrics that this was going to be driving and to show how it was going to offer a better solution for them to perform their task. Mm-hmm. When we push that out to the branches where the guys they're concerned about, well, what's this going to do to my inventory level? Or they first look at it and say, look, all right, you're telling me I'm going to have less stuff on the shelf, but I'm going to have the same or higher level of customer satisfaction. I don't get it. I'm used to seeing full shelves, and that's my metric. And so there it's a little harder sell. It's a little different pitch at that point. Mm-hmm. And so you have to be very conscientious as you pilot the program and as you roll out to show, look, all right, you've only got 50 LBs instead of 150, but you're not having any stock outages.
Vanessa? Les? So my question is, what's worked best in terms of training and implementation? The person who's having a hard time accepting the fact that you're moving forward with technology, what's worked best? Has it been more training? Has it been extra encouragement? Has it been we just dug our heels in and you're going to do this?
Well, again, I think it is variable. I think the size of the project, the intensity of the project, how it affects people. Obviously, if we did a payroll change about 3 years ago. And before that time, everybody was using spreadsheets and they were filling out their expense reports and they were sending them in. And then, timekeeping was really something, again, on a spreadsheet the manager had to take care of. It was very tough. Obviously, by automating this so that you went out to a site, it was all there, all your information was there, you could remember who worked for you, all those kind of things. It was very helpful. There was a lot of pushback because people didn't understand how to do it, so we looked at training for that particular solution. 8 years ago, when we did an ERP solution, it was anybody who's been through that, it was like a major cataclysmic event. And we found every piece of the puzzle that you could think of in terms of pushback, and this will never work, and we need to go to the old system. And actually, up into 5 years after the ERP system, we were still getting that kind of conversation. So I think that if it's something that's relatively small, email was a big deal, but people could see the benefits right away. ERP, you really struck people at where they live. They knew they were going to have to change their processes, and they knew that where they were their comfort zone was going to be completely gone. So it does take all the arrows that you have in your quiver. Okay,
Vanessa, we stalled, but you're up.
Okay. To both David and Les's points, you have to get the buy-in from not just management, because that's important, but everyone that it actually affects, because we switched out all of our new PCs this year, or last year, due to XP being discontinued. I'm sure everyone's probably come across that. If you're not already off XP, you should be soon. Side note. But we had to let everyone know we were giving them a new PC. Believe it or not, people didn't want to change their computers. They were happy with them. They liked the old ones, even though they were slow. We talked to them, told them it'd be faster, and they're like, I don't care. So we still implemented it anyway, went ahead. I talked to each of them as we got their new PCs in place. Management was happy. Eventually, all the employees were happy because they had fast computers. But it's that buy-in from top to bottom, I think, that's probably the most important.
Right. So again, to bottom line this part, being able to embrace what the latest technology is, 1, increases revenue, 2, will eliminate expenses, 3, needs buy-in, because without that, you're not using your technology to its maximum potential. Fair enough to say. Okay,
just
great.
One more comment on that.
Go ahead.
Because a lot of times also the thing that'll help is to understand why the reluctance to change is in place. We also went through an ERP change about the same time you did, Les. And when we looked at some of the impacts and some of the impediments to change, why are we going from our old system to the new system? Something I didn't consider at the time, but really saw it as it was being acted out, was we were taking our senior, inside sales. Let's focus on that function because they spend a lot of time in the ERP system, obviously. And here are people that part of their their perceived value proposition to the company is that I'm very good at using our legacy system. And we hit the reset button on that skill set for them. So now they were at the same level as the brand new CSR, who was probably a lot younger than them, who was probably a lot more comfortable in a Windows environment versus the green screen environment they'd grown up in. And so what they were concerned about was not that the new system couldn't do the job. It's that they were having to reset into a technology standpoint that the younger generation was going to be able to adopt to more quickly than them. And so we had some significant change management, some training challenges around that, some, how do we transfer that expertise that they perceive to show that really what we're interested in there is product knowledge, not how quickly you could get around any old system.
So let's talk about that. Some generational things that you just brought up. And for you guys who came in right after we started, the last 15 minutes we're going to take questions. So if you have mental notes or you want to jot down a follow-up question or something to any of these guys, you guys are rapid fire from the crowd. Don't be afraid to ask questions. But let's talk generational stuff since you brought it up then. Certainly there are younger people that we touched on before who are really in tune with technology. And then there are people that we brought up who've been in this industry for 25 years and like doing stuff the way that they've done it for 25 years. So how do you marry the two together? I mean, how do you use your employees to teach technology?
Being in Silicon Valley, IT kind of just comes naturally to people for the most part because they're kind of around it 24/7. So what we do is basically use our younger employees to help those and kind of mirror image the older people in the company that have been there the 25 to 40 years. And so, I didn't grow up with technology, but my kids did, and I also asked them too. So sometimes I'll bring my kids in to help. And it's funny because they seem to understand it better than I do, which is not a good thing. But as far as the company goes, we try to make sure that the young employees, along with everyone else, has a good basis of what's going on, what the new technology is that's coming along.
David?
One of the challenges is to be able to respond, we talked about it a little earlier, to be able to respond to kind of the work environment that the younger generations are taking as a given in their world. And I really see that in a couple of different areas. One is to support a little more non-linear workflow. If you think back, especially, from a technology standpoint, our old system was very linear. I mean, you had to go steps A, B, C, D, and it wouldn't let you go out of order or, kind of deviate from that path. With our newer system, it's very flexible in how you get to the right answer. That's very powerful in terms of being able to respond to a customer's needs. It's also very powerful in being able to screw something up because, for every one of those right answers, one of the challenges that we have as an IT department is to make sure we put up barriers to the wrong answers. But there's nothing preventing somebody from doing something dumb in the path to try and get the right answer for our customer. And so being able to provide that more relaxed work environment but still accomplish the same goals is one challenge. Another is to be able to address the blurring of the line between work and home life. How do I support where somebody wants to be able to, while they're entering sales orders, be able to have a chat going with their wife or to be able to do things online at the same time. And so to be able to create an environment, again, that allows you as a business manager to accomplish the goals of the business, but does so in a way that allows the workers to feel more productive in their work-life balance and their productivity for their activities.
Les?
I think attitude is a large part of it, and that goes to how you adopt to people who are doing the multitasking, doing the soft work hour boundaries. But also I think that making sure that we recognize that young people should be recognized for their assistance and should be recognized for their technological capabilities. We set up a loose organization within our branches. We call them Service Center IT administrators. And these are younger people who have a better handle on things, and it's really self-selection within the branch. They also work to a large degree as being the champions for a lot of our technologies that we're rolling out. But they're the guys that can go and they can help with the Excel problem. Or they can help with, is that a network problem or is that a PC problem? Sort of the first level. And so we find that those people have create relationships across different business units and within the branches themselves to make sure that the younger people are being recognized for their capabilities at the same time as the older people are able to share their knowledge with the younger people.